In yesterday's interview of Rigathi by YVONE Okwara was great, very great. No side shows distracted her from her attention. Uh, she aimed at what she aimed, and any side shows would not take her attention from what she had wanted. That is kudos to her. On the other hand, if I was Rigathi's advisor, I would advise him to avoid such interviews. Every time I've seen Rigathi attending such interviews, he has always let himself down. I don't know. Kenyans, we don't follow reasoning. Otherwise, if it were like the American presidential campaigns, such interviews you find that he loses a lot. He proved to be his own worst enemy. That is according to me. Let me start with the issue of the so-called meeting between Al-Shabaab and Ruto. Let me start on that. He goes to the US to report that Ruto met with Al-Shabaab. He goes to the US to say that Ruto met Al-Shabaab, but in this interview, he says that it is an American senator who who presented that to court. I mean, to the American Senate. Now we all know that he went there and even started that he was going to report Ruto, a sitting president of a sovereign country, to the U.S. authority. I remember even that time recording something by saying, supposing Ruto had met Al Shabaab. Anyway, I'll refer you to that because I said that supposing Ruto had met Al Shabaab, of course the CIA would have known it earlier. And again, supposing CIA didn't get it and they were getting information from him, intelligence organizations don't like situations like, for example, he has gone to tip the CIA about Ruto meeting Al Shabaab in Mandera. This one ends up even if okay, let me talk as an NIS person. If you talk to somebody from NIS or CIA or what do you call KGB and anything, and you find that that person goes and discusses that in public, that person is blacklisted, and even if he is a source of good intelligence, you keep off that person. So when Gachagua was confronted by Yvonne to say about it, he even now goes and says that um, half of Mandera County is now under Jubaland militia. Well, the last time I was in Mandera town was 1990. I do not know about, but one thing I'm trying to see here is the people who are watching the Citizen interview included the people from Mandera. Now, if half of Mandera County is under Jubaland militia, I'd have expected that one at least to people to give back feedback. But then again, they didn't even. On the other hand, also they didn't comment about it. You see, if there is no Jubaland, if there is Jubaland militias in Mandera, the Mandera people would have talked. And if he was talking of something that is not in Mandera and he's saying it is there, Mandera people would have talked. So why are they quiet? I think they are the best people to say, but I do believe that if there is some truth in that, because there could be some truth in that, uh, but Mandera people didn't want to talk about it. It could be because of two reasons. One is that maybe they have a hold in Mandera County to an extent that people fear the resident of Mandera fear that if they expose them, it will be to their security detrimental. Or on the opposite that, on the other hand, maybe they are there and they have secured the safety of that place, so that the two occasions, if the people are fearful of repercussion from Jubaland militia, or on the other side, if Jubaland militia has secured security in the county, then they would not want to comment about it. But most likely, we should just ignore it that way. If Mandera people within Mandera, because we have people in Mandera, you cannot walk in a kilometer away from where you are. Take a circle of a kilometer, go around and see if there is, and find out if you must have a relative in Mandera or something, and wait for him or her when they have come to down Kenya, try to inquire that. But if, but at the end of the day, it only boils up to one thing. It only boils to one thing, that his hatred for every sentence is going to, uh, he's always talking negative about Ruto. Uh, it clouds the information. It clouds the information that it is a bit hard to, unless we have another neutral person, another person who is neutral to verify either way. To him, he cannot finish a few sentences without mentioning Ruto negatively. In fact, some of the people who commented on it, some even went to an extent of saying, why is it that uh, if he were to be told, I remember there was a time when the late Fidel Castro, the then president of Cuba, he was told that Fidel Castro could give a 3-hour speech, and it was never boring, and he never repeated anything, but he could give a 3-hour speech. One time he went to a place and he was told, can you speak? Okay, speak, but don't mention anything about communism. He just greeted the people and said, I have nothing to say, and stopped that. The same applies to Rigathi Gachagua. If you tell him, I noticed that they talked for 2.5 hours. Now, for those 2.5 hours, if you'd have told him to talk and not mention root, especially in the negative way, I think he would have had a hard time to construct a topic for 15 minutes. Any attempt on, I mean, there was something that everybody talked, those in America, and it is good that the Citizen TV, and more specifically YVONE OKWARA, talked about tribalism. They talked about shares and so on. And when it came to that, and that is why I started my opening line by saying that Okwara was very clever and knew what she wanted, and she went for what she wanted. She was very clever, and she was very particular, and she was very specific, and she succeeded in having him accept that he's a tribalist instead of being a national leader. Uh, that is when he was shown the video in America where a child, imagine a child, a girl, who was trying to show him that Kenyans should not talk about tribalism. Another thing, okay, he has talked of attending 1 or 2 meetings of the Somalis, and he has also talked of attending a meeting of the Kisi. But what came to the social media, what came to everybody, was that him who wants to be the president of Kenya was attending Kikuyu meetings where things were being discussed in Kikuyu language. He was okay. Also talking about his trip to America, he was telling people who are in America not to send money to their parents in Kenya. Anyway, let me not talk about that. He was asked about 40% of the 40% of the positions in government to go to Murima. You see, he's a national leader, but he was, and he said there was nothing wrong with Mrima getting 40%. But then even if Mrima is getting 40%, are you sure that the population of Kenya, Mrima gets 40%? And then again, we have heard in the press about these things where they talk about job descriptions and whatever. You have even seen in the press where they are talking of major tribes, major tribe occupying almost 80%, 3 or 4 major tribes occupying over 80% of the positions in public services. To him, he finds that one to be quite okay. He justifies that a gentleman's agreement, yeah, that was a gentleman's agreement between him and Ruto, overrides the constitutional justification where they say that any government positions should reflect as much as possible the national outlook. He tries to deny it. To him, he's not a national leader, but a Mrima. It is obvious, it comes out, because even if you look at his, if you look at the way he was talking, and when when he could defend about people in Mrima, of course, I come from the same place. If you ask him, I come from a place called Kayaba. So, but it is unfair for him to 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 to, to, to treat some people like what do you call the Igbo of Nigeria? The Igbo of Nigeria at one time they used to think that they were special. They were the first class Nigerians. Actually, that is what Timama once said, that you should press the Igbo of Kenya, that is the Kikuyu, down to the. He said people had him. You know, antelope and envelope, they sound the same. So people quoted him as saying that he was saying that they should be lowered down to the level of an envelope, but he himself insisted the antelope. Whichever it is, it means that these Igbos of Kenya believe that they are giraffes, and once upon a time, William Rogoro Olentimama wanted them to be pushed down, to be lowered to the level of an antelope. He's complaining that Mudavadi, Papa wa Roma, and Kingi entered into certain shares. You see, Kingi can claim, Kingi can claim that he entered the agreement as the leader of PA. Is it PA? Yeah. And then Mudavadi would say that he entered into the agreement as the leader of ANC, while Wetangula would say that he entered into on representing Ford Kenya. He would say he is representing Ford Kenya. So him saying, why is, but they, you see, they hid behind that. They hid behind. He's accepting that what they wanted, they got. That means he's a poor negotiator, and his failings should be upon him. This failing should be upon him. I remember him saying that the in a coalition there is when he was asked by Okwara as to why he was talking about Mlima getting so much percentage or so much whatever. He said, but in a coalition, that is what a worldwide coalition is. But what he's forgetting, but you see, he's the type of a person who thinks that he's very clever, thinks that he's the only person who notices something. He talks of coalition worldwide coming up to such agreement. I could talk of a person like, forget about Wetangula, forget about Mudavadi. Let me talk about somebody with a small party like Mutua from Machakos. What was his party? I even forgotten the name, but it was amalgamated, isn't it? uh, anything happening in that place, he may have. I've studied the coalition governments worldwide. You find that Alfred Mutua, just a minister, initially foreign affairs, but Alfred Mutua, it is possible for him when they are having a cabinet meeting, he goes there as a cabinet minister. But when they are having coalition meeting, you find that heads of political parties, or Maendeleo Chap Chap, yeah, is the leader is the leader of the former party called Maendeleo Chap Chap. You could say, you see, me, I went there as a leader of Maendeleo Chap Chap. If anybody wants to be taken serious when he talks about coalitions, because Rigathi Gachagua was not, he did not go there with any of his parties. Actually, he has even in some occasions even regretted that that Murima people went there without a party. So when he bites his own fingers by saying that in coalitions people come into agreement, we have to remember that we have to remember two things: that those leaders were brighter than him by not just having an agreement between their relevant political parties. They made sure of that. They used the political parties. They didn't go there as Western people, Mudavadi, and they said we are going there as this ANC and for the Kenya. That's what they argued on the first whatever. And then on the other hand, in the other democracies, when a leader misleads people, he resigns. Eh? If truly he believes he is somebody who's supposed to go around to the mountain area, tell the people, I misled you going to Ruto, and I regret, and I retire from politics, maybe for 5 years. Why should he insist on staying on when he obviously failed his people? Now, if the people of the mountain uh, voted for Ruto to a man, that is 87%, because of him, because he even used the word when he was talking to citizens. YVONE OKWARA, he said, the mountain people of whom I'm the leader, you see. Now he led the mountain people to a person who betrayed them. In such a situation, he's supposed to resign. But by any measure, if there is a cabinet of 22 people, 22 cabinet secretaries, and 8 are from one region, that is too much. That is even more than a third. That is even more than a third of that. But he still insists, even when Murima had 8 cabinet positions out of 22, he still believes that Ruto betrayed him. Okay, one thing that he was trying to say is that not only did Murima overvote for Ruto, because 87% of those people who voted for Ruto were from Mrima. So he must have gone back to Ruto and wanted double. So he was wondering why people like Mudavadi, and he even mentioned to Okwara. He say he was wondering why people like Mudavadi and Wetangula promised Ruto 70% of their votes, and they got less than what they promised, yet they were given 30% of positions. Mm. You see that he's still reasoning like a tribal or a regional thing. Observation of the agreeing on the officials in both houses. You see, he talked of, and actually it is Okwara who said that apart from the position of leader of the majority, because it is even neither here nor there, because when there is like when Wetangula agreed with Raila the other time, they said that the leader in the Senate was to be Wetangula. So whether your team will be the majority or the minority, you agree that if we make the majority or the minority, then the leader, our leader in the National Assembly will be so and so, and our leader in the Senate will be so and so. So they are supposed they made that arrangement. He is blaming Ruto for controlling everything, but he was part of the people who agreed on who was to do that. Yet they should have let the MPs, that is the members of the National Assembly, and the members of the National Assembly and the members of what do we call members of the National Assembly and the members of the Senate to choose their leaders. You see, here he is somebody who wants to look very democratic, but when it comes to democratic principles, he doesn't follow them. Then he makes a reference about Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta repeatedly. There is no interview he has ever had after leaving office whereby he has not made that reference to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Once again, he made that reference. He's saying that uh, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta advised them against following Ruto, and he led the region in disregarding Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Yes, he has claimed that he apologized to both Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Mama Ngina Kenyatta. He has apologized to them. But don't you think that having misled such a big group against the advice of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, why is he still being wanting to be the leader of the mountain if he has misled the mountain? He is conveniently forgetting that when Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was the president, he was all the time in handicaps being taken to court by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Is he not the one who talked about? Uh, he was very bitter at one time. He was even complaining that Uhuru Kenyatta was mistreating him. Yet Uhuru Kenyatta was a drunkard who used to drink 25 hours a day, and I used to say, sio mimi nilikutoa huko kwa ulevi na nikakuleta hivi na hivi. But right now Uhuru Kenyatta is now an angel and is talking about Uhuru as if he's an angel. Another thing I wanted to say is this. It is coming out it is coming out very clear. We in the intelligence, NIS, we believe that the unspoken message communication is more. Unspoken communication are usually more louder than spoken communication. For example, where I have come to realize that he's the type of a person who, yes, he's a good mobilizer. So he is somebody who undertakes something to assist you. Once you are successful, he would want, like even right now, I don't think he wants to be the president. He has even said it before that they will give the vehicle to somebody but retain the logbook. He has also said that they'll give someone land to till, but they'll retain the title deed. He appears, if we have to look at the three options, the three instances, he was sent by whoever. He had left civil service and entered into business, but he was returned to civil service with an intention of taking Uhuru Kenyatta from being drunk to be a presidential matter. So when Uhuru became the president, he wanted to be the rule behind the wheels. The other, the person who who orders the driver from the back seat. We can even see when his brother was the governor for Nyeri, he was the co-governor. And again, it seems that when Ruto became the president, he must have wanted to be given more than his fair share, especially after discovering that 87% of what Ruto got came from Mrima. He thinks that the Mrima, the whole 87, will still be with him. But out of 87%, you add how many? 17 to make it. If Ruto got 17% from elsewhere, he's forgetting that there are other people like assuming all Raila's people go to you see that is 17%. And how many more votes did Ruto get more than Raila? Now, if it's it 200. Now, if you take 17% and do that, that is what do you call altruistic science. Okay, let us even talk of their new political dispensations. They are younger people, boys and girls who are boys and girls during that time, but this time now, 2027, they'll be voters. You don't know what you cannot take voting that happened last year and think that the things will be changing. I liked the way Yvonne Okwara reminded him that once Ruto became the president, suddenly the ODPP discovered that there are cases of people who are in Kenya Kwanza coalition whose cases were thrown away. Cases like Asha Juma, Rigathi himself, Linturi, and others. The charges were dropped. Don't you see that is interference with the politics? And then Yvonne Okwara was also challenging him that why is it that he didn't speak when all these things were happening, and he didn't speak and he did resign. What's more, when they wanted to impeach him, he would have used that opportunity as a good one to resign. But he really fought. Actually, even disclosing anything about Ruto, if my memory is anything, is after the impeachment was through. But if he would have fought the impeachment and still remained as the deputy president, I don't think that he would still be talking that. In the intelligence, in the NIS, we say that the best intelligence we get from people who have quarreled. Let me tell you one thing. Your best friend could be the worst gangster around. You see, chances of you disclosing. Yes, there are people who disclose, but there is quite a good number, a good percentage of people who would only come out after they have differed. So in intelligence, we are taught if people have differed, accept the information of that person wholly, but down on your report, down at the comment section, because you are writing the report and you may be transferred, you may retire, you may die. Uh, Whoever or your seniors would want to see, your colleagues would want to see that report. Always write at the law after completing the report, because intelligence, they discourage you write mixing your personal opinion in the report. You just write the report the way it is, the way it has been presented. If there is anything you have to comment on that report section, maybe it is to say whether this person is, but no, reliability. Is this person reliable or whatever? Just say exactly what he's saying. But in the comment section, like what now is my comment section, is I would say that Rigathi has said blah 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 blah. He has completed, but the possibility of him telling the truth are very high, are very high. But if he would not have been impeached, if he would not have disagreed with Ruto, also take into consideration that the chances of him disclosing are very slim. He's talking about the killer squad, about people who are taken from AP and they were trained with the NIS and so on. Mine is an expert opinion. First and foremost, I have no access to active intelligence. I have no access to active intelligence. I can assure you, even today, if I were to meet a member of the NIS and ask him about that, well, he'll just be okay. To me, if it is you, maybe. But if it is to me, he'll just tell me, why are you asking me a question you know I'll not answer you? So first and foremost, I would say that I have no access to active intelligence. But my personal view is that I highly doubt that there is an AP squad and NIS to kill people. I highly doubt. And we have also to blame him, just like the Kikuyus can blame him for leading them to Ruto and then letting them what he's now saying. I would also say that even right now, uh, as an intelligence officer, I would say I would take in that information, but still, I would say that why he not impeached, why not he would just have kept quiet. There are some questions somebody asked. Was it Raphael Tuju? Yeah, Raphael Tuju was asking a podcast the other day. He was asking that supposing Rinturi's son, not Muturi's son, yeah, Muturi's son was not abducted. Would Muturi have done whatever? So we have to also to ask that. But as somebody who is an expert in that field or whatever, I am also entitled to come up with my own thinking, my own theory of what may have happened. We have seen in the local TV stations about SOG that is trained and stationed at Ijara in Garissa. I think there are two things that are made. I don't think that in an ordinary circumstance, the the NIS would have shown in a few TV station about that SOG, which is trained and stationed in Ijara. Is it Mbalambala in Garissa? I don't think that they would have come out publicly, but I think they came out publicly after a lot of negative things. One of the things is that they had declared that area as a restricted area. There was a lot of things that was happening that they felt that they have to come out publicly. So I tend to believe that the idea of such a team, because one thing I would say is that AP's, GSU, Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service, they are very good paramilitary people. And if you can see the program which was there, the NIS felt that they needed NIS felt that they needed to have such a group to monitor that place. The good thing about it is that maybe for those who stay in Northeastern, but down Kenya, we no longer hear of Dusit, we no longer hear of Westgate. So my feeling is that uh, when uh, when a hyena wants to eat its child, it says it smells like a goat. So this fellow is just renaming this SOG group, Special Operation Group, trying to say that they have been hired to kill people. Now, let me say, the last, is it 4 months? Have you had anybody being killed by such people, whatever? Or the time when these young people stopped demonstration or anything? Now, don't you, okay, if there was such a thing, has it not been disbanded or anything? This is just propaganda. For you who may want to know what propaganda is twisted facts to give a certain picture. Let us look at a zebra. A zebra. Eh, there is one person who can, there are three people who can describe a zebra. There is one who can describe zebra as a white animal with black strips, and another one could say it is a black animal with white strips. But a third one could say that it is an animal with black and white strips. So you'll find that those things they are describing the same thing. So I would advise Rigiji that when it comes to matter of security, security comes out well. He should his wife is a pastor. I think uh, she should uh, she should preach to him the story of Jonah. The story of Jonah. He's sinking, and when he's sinking, there is a time when he should come and tell the Mrima and even the whole country that badala ya nyinyi nyote kuzama, heri munitupe kwa bahari. So let him not equate himself to be as important as the country, and let him not equate himself to be as important as a region. Thank you for watching my video. Let's meet next time.